The untimely death of his father threw Foolio into a world his family desperately wanted to shield him from. Despite the threat to his mother's life and her heartfelt pleas for him to abandon the perilous path of drill music and gang violence, Foolio was drawn to the intoxicating mix of danger and the grim satisfaction of his rival's downfalls. This relentless embrace of chaos, however, led him to a tragic end, captured by the very shadows that had haunted him since his youth. Foolio's traumatic family life. Foolio was born and spent his early childhood in the Hilltop Village apartments on the north side of Jacksonville, Florida. This area is notorious for its high crime rates and rampant violence. For many, it's a place to avoid, but for Foolio, it was home. The neighborhood was a harsh environment where danger lurked around every corner. Killings, shootings, prostitution, and drug activities were everyday occurrences. Despite the chaos, there were moments of normalcy. Foolio attended school and played with friends, trying to find pockets of joy amidst the turmoil. However, the shadow of violence was never far away. The influence of the neighborhood was inescapable, and it began to shape his identity and future. The turning point in Foolio's early life came when he was just 11 years old. It was a day like any other in the Hilltop Village apartments, but what transpired would leave an indelible mark on his psyche. Foolio was hanging out with one of his close friends when a sudden violent altercation erupted nearby. In the blink of an eye, the situation escalated and gunshots rang out. Foolio's friend's mother was caught in the crossfire. She was shot right in front of them. The scene was chaotic and surreal. Foolio watched in horror as his friend's mother collapsed, bleeding from her wound. The sight of her lifting her shirt to reveal the bullet wound and saying, "I'm shot," is forever etched in his memory. The raw fear and helplessness he felt in that moment were overwhelming. Seeing his friend break down in tears, Foolio was struck by the brutal reality of the violence that surrounded him. Up until that point, death and injury had been abstract concepts, things that happened to other people. But now, it was real and right in front of him. The immediate psychological impact was profound. Foolio's sense of security was shattered, replaced by a stark awareness of his own vulnerability. The tragedies Foolio experienced during his teenage years would further push him into the violent reality he grew up around. His father, known as Rick the Ruler, was a significant figure in their neighborhood. Rick was not just a father, he was a big gangster, running his block with an iron fist. His influence was undeniable, and his presence was felt by everyone around. Rick's reputation as a major figure in the area meant that Foolio grew up with a front row seat to the harsh realities of the streets. Despite his father's involvement in gang activities, Foolio's early years were not entirely devoid of normalcy. However, tragedy struck in 2011 when Foolio was just 12 or 13 years old. His father got into an altercation with someone. Rick, being the dominant figure he was, beat the person up. However, the person couldn't take the beating and decided to retaliate. They went and got a gun, came back, and shot Rick. The loss of his father was a devastating blow to young Foolio. It messed his head up, affecting not just him, but his entire family. They had already lost his grandmother a year or two before, making the situation even more unbearable. The death of Rick the Ruler was not just a personal loss for Foolio, it was a loss for the entire neighborhood. Rick's influence and presence had kept a certain level of order in the chaos of the streets. With him gone, the balance of power shifted, and the streets became even more dangerous. For Foolio, the loss of his father was a turning point, a moment that would shape the rest of his life. The man who killed Rick was eventually caught and imprisoned, but that did little to ease the pain. Foolio was too young to know the person who took his father's life, but the anger and desire for revenge lingered. As he grew older, he began to understand the harsh realities of the streets. The loss of his father was a pivotal moment that pushed him closer to the life that Rick had tried to shield him from. The impact of losing his father at such a young age was profound. Foolio's family was already reeling from the loss of his grandmother, and Rick's death only compounded their grief. The absence of a father figure left a void in Foolio's life, a void that the streets were all too eager to fill. But that wouldn't happen until the tragic loss of his first close friend. Foolio was about 15 or 16 years old when he lost his friend. The memory of that day is etched deeply into his mind. It was a typical day at school filled with the usual hustle and bustle of teenage life. But as the day progressed, whispers and rumors began to circulate. Something terrible had happened in their old neighborhood. Foolio and his friends were anxious, trying to piece together the fragments of information they were hearing. The confirmation came in the most heartbreaking way. One of their friends came running, breathless and distraught, to deliver the news. Their friend had been killed. The shock and disbelief were overwhelming. The loss of a 15-year-old friend was their first big loss, and it sent shockwaves through their group. The school day descended into chaos as Foolio and his friends struggled to process the tragedy. The impact of losing his friend was profound. It was a thought to leave the neighborhood to avoid the same fate, but instead, it pushed Foolio further into the streets. The combination of losing his father and his friend made him go full throttle into the street life. The streets, which had always been a looming presence, now became his reality. The loss of his friend was a catalyst, propelling him deeper into a world of violence and conflict that would later lead to his death. After Foolio's death, his mother, Sandrikas, emerged as a voice of strength and resilience. resilience. A nurse by profession, Sandrikas has always been a pillar of support for her son. Her heartbreak was palpable when she took to Instagram to share her grief and announce her plans to create a documentary about Foolio's life and death. In her heartfelt post, Sandrikas wrote, "R.I.P. son, Charles Jones II, Foolio. The real-life story documentary coming soon. The story that only I can tell because I know the truths from the fakes." Her words resonated deeply with those who knew Foolio and his journey. She emphasized that she is the only one who can tell the true story, highlighting the challenges and realities that her son faced. Sandrikas' statement also sheds light on the complex relationship between Foolio and the world of drill music. She revealed that she never condoned the violence and beefs that often accompanied this genre. Despite her efforts to steer Foolio away from these conflicts, the dangers were ever present. Her post mentioned how she stayed on him about the beefs, cussed him out, and begged him to take stuff down. In a shocking revelation, Sandrikas shared that she was shot 8 times in an incident related to Foolio's beefs. Despite the life-altering injuries she sustained, she chose to spare the lives of those responsible. Her resilience and strength are a testament to the love she had for her son and her unwavering commitment to his safety. The documentary that Sandrikas is planning promises to reveal the untold truths about Foolio's life and the challenges he faced. She aims to set the record straight and expose the realities that many choose to ignore. This is a story that only she can tell, and it is bound to be a powerful and emotional journey. Foolio's music was more than just entertainment. It was a reflection of his life experiences. His lyrics were raw and unfiltered, painting a vivid picture of the struggles and triumphs he faced. Fans connected with his authenticity, and his tracks quickly gained popularity. Songs like Crooks and Bibby Story became anthems, earning him a loyal following. Throughout his career, Foolio received support from some of the biggest names in the industry. Sandrikas expressed her gratitude to those who believed in him from a young age. She thanked Rap Coalition, Zaytoven, and especially Young Thug, who played significant roles in shaping his career. Despite the efforts of Foolio's mom, Sandrikas, Foolio's allegiance to the streets and his gang, TKA, never wavered until his death. Foolio's gang affiliations and feud. From a young age, Foolio was drawn to rap, using it as an outlet to express his frustrations and experiences. However, it wasn't until he dropped out of school in the 9th grade that he began to take his musical aspirations seriously. With no money for studio time, Foolio turned to hustling to fund his passion. His relentless drive and raw talent soon caught the attention of the local music scene. In 2015, Foolio started gaining traction with tracks like Coming Up, which showcased his gritty storytelling and unfiltered perspective on life in Jacksonville. The song's success allowed him to start booking shows and making a name for himself. As his popularity grew, Foolio branded himself with his crew KTA, or Kill Them All, a group that would become synonymous with his identity and music. However, as Foolio's fame continued to rise in the Jacksonville rap scene, he soon had to deal with another Jacksonville rapper, Young Gene Ace, whose real name is Kenyatta Bullard. Young Gene Ace, who also grew up on the street of Jacksonville, represented the ATK, Ace's Top Killers gang, and with the competition in their music and street credibility, the duo would inevitably clash. The origins of the feud between Foolio's KTA Kill Them All and Young Gene Ace's ATK, Ace's Top Killers, can be traced back to a series of violent incidents and misunderstandings that quickly spiraled out of control. What started as a minor dispute soon escalated into a full-blown war, turning Jacksonville into a hotbed of gang violence. The tension between the two crews began to bubble around 2017. Although the exact cause of the initial conflict remains somewhat unclear, it is widely believed that a misunderstanding between members of KTA and ATK sparked the rivalry. This misunderstanding quickly led to a series of retaliatory acts, each more violent than the last. In 2017, Foolio's cousin, Zion Brown, was murdered inside his home at 1 in the morning. The man arrested for the crime was associated with Young Gene Ace, further escalating the beef between the two crews. This tragic event marked the beginning of a cycle of violence that would see both sides suffer significant losses. On June 2018, Young Gene Ace and his crew were celebrating a birthday party when they were ambushed in a drive-by shooting. Ace was shot 8 times, but miraculously survived, while his brother and 2 friends were killed. Although Foolio denied any involvement, Ace believed that KTA was behind the attack. This incident intensified the rivalry, leading to a series of retaliatory shootings. Foolio wasted no time mocking Ace's losses on social media, further fueling the animosity between the two crews. In January 2019, a rapper named Boscoon, who was closely associated with Young Gene Ace, was gunned down after leaving a gentleman's club. The following month, a 16-year-old named Bibi Osama, a friend of Foolio, was also killed. Foolio released a tribute track titled titled Bibby Story, which brought mainstream attention to the ongoing war in Jacksonville. ATK member Queso responded with a diss track of his own, describing the events of that night in graphic detail. The song gained millions of views, highlighting the deadly feud between KTA and ATK. As the violence continued to escalate, both sides suffered significant losses. Foolio himself was shot at, with a bullet grazing his head, and his girlfriend was also targeted in a separate shooting. In March 2019, Youngin Ace was the target of another shooting, this time at his hotel in Georgia. Although he survived, another friend was killed in the attack. The shooters were later identified as being from Jacksonville, confirming that it was a targeted hit. With both sides refusing to back down, the feud showed no signs of slowing. In January 2020, KTA member Lil Buck was gunned down in broad daylight at a shopping center. ATK member Queso, known for dissing KTA members after losing his brother Boscoon, was arrested along with his father for Lil Buck's murder. Despite the arrests, the violence continued unabated. By 2021, the feud had gained nationwide attention. On March 28, 2021, ATK members Youngin Ace, Spin a Benz, Fast Money Goon, and Wapple with the Chopper released Who I Smoke, a parody of the song 1,000 Miles that disrespected multiple KTA members' deaths. The song went viral, but its true meaning was lost on many uninformed listeners. In response, Foolio released When I See You in April 2021, taking the disrespect to another level by mocking Ace's brother and two friends who died in 2018. The video was shot in a cemetery with their pictures prominently displayed. In many ways, the TKA versus KTA feud mirrors the infamous East Coast versus West Coast rivalry between Tupac and Biggie. Both conflicts involve prominent figures in the rap industry whose personal beefs have led to real-life violence and tragedy. In the 1990s, the rap world was divided by the fierce rivalry between Tupac and Biggie, two of the biggest names in hip-hop. Tupac, representing the West Coast and signed to Death Row Records, and Biggie, representing the East Coast under Bad Boy Records, were once friends turned bitter enemies. Their feud was marked by diss tracks, public confrontations, and a series of violent incidents that captivated fans and media alike. The TKA versus KTA war shares many similarities with the East Coast versus West Coast feud. Both conflicts are fueled by a mix of personal vendettas, territorial disputes, and a desire for dominance. In both cases, the violence has spilt over into the public eye, with shocking acts of brutality being captured on camera and shared widely. Just as Tupac and Biggie's deaths sent ripples through the music world, the high-profile killings in the TKA versus KTA war have left fans reeling, especially Foolio's recent demise. The societal effects of the East Coast versus West Coast rap feud were far-reaching. The feud left a lasting scar on the hip-hop world, with many artists and fans mourning the loss of two of its brightest stars. The violence and tension also had a chilling effect on the industry, with many artists feeling the need to choose sides or stay out of the fray altogether. And with the way Foolio just died and the aftermath, it seems like the same is about to happen with the KTA versus ATK beat as well. Foolio's tragic murder. The timeline of events leading up to the tragic death of rapper Foolio is both harrowing and complex. To understand the full scope of this devastating incident, we need to start from the beginning of Foolio's birthday celebration. Charles Jones, known to the world as drill rapper Foolio, was celebrating his 26th birthday in Tampa, Florida. The celebrations were meant to be joyous, filled with friends, music, and good times. Foolio had rented an Airbnb property to host his birthday party, inviting close friends and associates to join in the festivities. The party was in full swing, with Foolio sharing moments from the celebration on his Instagram account. His post showed a lively atmosphere, with everyone enjoying the night. However, the celebrations took an unexpected turn when authorities intervened. The police were called to the Airbnb property after reports that the number of guests had exceeded the occupancy limits set by the rental agreement. Foolio and his guests were asked to vacate the premises immediately. This sudden disruption forced Foolio to find an alternative location to continue his birthday celebrations. Foolio expressed frustration over the police intervention at the Airbnb property. In one of his posts, Foolio mentioned that the police had shut us down, indicating his disappointment at the disruption of his birthday party. Despite this setback, Foolio remained determined to continue the celebrations, unaware of the danger ahead. At about 8:40 GMT, gunfire erupted in the hotel car park. The sound of bullets shattered the night, creating chaos and panic among those present. According to police reports, 4 people were hit by the gunfire. Foolio was among those struck, and despite immediate medical attention, he succumbed to his injury. The other 3 victims were rushed to a nearby hospital, where their conditions were described as stable. The police believe that Foolio was the primary target of the ambush, although the exact motives behind the attack remain unclear. Foolio's lawyer, Louis Fusco, released a statement describing the incident as an ambush. Fusco's statement, quoted by a local affiliate of CBS News, highlighted the premeditated nature of the attack. The ambush in the hotel car park has left many questions unanswered, with authorities working tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to the shooting. Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkall held a press conference later that day, confirming confirming the tragic news. "We believe this incident is tied to a larger feud between groups from Jacksonville," Burka stated. The two groups Police Chief Lee Burka was referring to are gangs KTA and TKA, the group which Foolio was a member of, but we'll get to that later. The investigation quickly expanded, involving multiple law enforcement agencies, including the FBI and the ATF. The shooting of Foolio was the third deadly incident in New Tampa within a week. It began with a fatal shooting on Bruce B. Downs on Monday, followed by a triple shooting on New Tampa Boulevard on Friday night, which claimed 2 more lives. The community was on edge, and the sense of urgency was evident. Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters, familiar with the ongoing feud between the groups involved, did not hold back his frustration. "It ain't cool now. It's over now. It's over for Jones. It's permanent. Now we have to deal with the mess of cleaning it up," he stated. However, not relying solely on the word of the police and knowing how long such probes usually take, the internet community and Foolio's fans also started conducting their own investigations, which has revealed the possibility of a few people possibly being involved in Foolio's murder. In the days before his death, Foolio's social media was buzzing with activity. He posted about upcoming projects, shared snippets of new music, and interacted with fans. But one post stood out: a last-minute invitation to an event in Tampa hosted by a promoter named Ari. Ari, a Tampa promoter, had contacted Foolio through Instagram, inviting him to her event. The invitation was casual, almost spontaneous, with Ari posting, "Guess who I got to come?" accompanied by a demon emoji. Foolio responded positively, agreeing to make an appearance. On the night of the event, Foolio arrived in Tampa. The atmosphere was electric, with fans eager to see the rapper in person. Ari documented the night on her Instagram, posting videos and photos of Foolio at the party in real time. The event seemed to be going well, with Foolio mingling with attendees and enjoying the night. However, the night took a dark turn. In the early hours of the morning, Foolio was shot and killed. The internet quickly pointed fingers, and Ari found herself at the center of the controversy. Fans accused her of backdooring Foolio by sharing his location on social media. Ari was quick to respond to the accusations. In a video posted on her social media, she vehemently denied any involvement in Foolio's death. She explained that Foolio had come to her event, stayed for a while, and then left. Ari emphasized that she had no idea where he went afterwards and that the vibes at the club were positive.
"And I just gotta let y'all know what it is. Like, I had nothing to do with Foolio's death. Me and Foolio was texting. He came to my event. He popped out. He was in a section. He had him a bottle, and then he dipped."
Another name emerged in the narrative: Mizzle. Mizzle was not just an acquaintance. He was a close associate who had spent the entire day with Foolio, from the Airbnb to the afterparty. This close association suggested that Mizzle was one of Foolio's trusted friends. But as the internet dug deeper, troubling connections began to surface. Mizzle and Foolio's friendship appeared solid on the surface. They were often seen together, sharing laughs and making music. However, the internet's investigation into Mizzle's background revealed a web of connections that raised suspicions about his loyalty. One of the most alarming connections was Mizzle's close relationship with an individual known as Backstreet. Their bond was so strong that they often wore matching outfits, a sign of deep friendship. This was problematic because Backstreet and Foolio had well-known issues. Backstreet had previously threatened Foolio on Clubhouse, stating that when he killed one of Foolio's friends, he expected Foolio to post about it on Instagram. Backstreet's threats were not taken lightly. The tension between him and Foolio was palpable, and their animosity was well documented. The fact that Mizzle was closely associated with Backstreet raised red flags for many fans and followers. Furthermore, Backstreet was very close with another rapper, Youngin Ace, who also had conflicts with Foolio. Their diss tracks and public feuds had been making headlines for years. The fact that Mizzle was friends with both Backstreet and people close to Youngin Ace only fueled the speculation about his intentions. Many accused Mizzle of betraying Foolio by revealing his location to those who wished him harm. After the news of Foolio's death broke, Backstreet posted "Beautiful Day" on his Instagram story, followed by a new video from Youngin Ace that seemingly took shots at Foolio and where he also claimed to have set up the hit on Foolio. This led to widespread speculation that Mizzle might have played a role in setting up Foolio. Mizzle was quick to defend himself against the accusation. Mizzle emphasized that he was devastated by the loss of his friend and that the accusations were baseless. Meanwhile, Youngin Ace, who is rumored to have been the one who put Ari and Mizzle up to stitching and killing Foolio, has been loudly claiming responsibility in song "Do It," where he rapped, "I don't even call him by his name, I call them niggas. Lil Do It's, let's do it," and "Game Over," where he declared 4 of them in the car, 1D asterisk ad, 3 got hit. Nonetheless, while the death of Foolio sparked a whirlwind of reactions that ranged from shock to heartfelt condolences, there appears to be a set of people who jaw-droppingly seem to enjoy the rapper's murder. Youngin Ace's close friend, frequent collaborator, and gang member, rapper Spinabenz, was one of the first celebrities to react to the news of Foolio's death. When news of Foolio's death broke, Spinabenz's reaction was swift and shocking. His Instagram story declared, "Game over, we won," a stark reminder of the deep-seated hatred between these two artists. Foolio and Spinabenz used their music to air their grievances and take shots at each other, escalating tensions between their respective gangs. For Spinabenz, Foolio's death was not just the loss of a rival, but a perceived victory in a deadly game. Meanwhile, another talked about reaction came from rapper 23KB. Just a day after Foolio's death, 23KB posted a photo on Instagram that left many people outraged. In the picture, he is seen posing with a gun in front of the Holiday Inn where Foolio was shot. The timing and location of the photo were seen as highly insensitive, and the internet did not hold back in expressing their disapproval. One user commented, "Bro ain't even been gone a day, this nasty work." Another reaction that quickly went viral was that of Charleston White, a well-known internet personality. He made headlines with his controversial comments about Foolio's tragic demise. In a video circulating on social media, White's remarks were nothing short of jaw-dropping. White began by stating that he had always expected Foolio to get shot eventually, a statement that many found callous and disrespectful. He then went on to mock the location where Foolio was killed, incredulously asking, "The Holiday Inn? Ain't no protection on a nigga at the Holiday Inn. They ain't even got valet parking." But perhaps the most shocking part of his reaction was when he concluded by saying that Foolio worked hard to die. As the hip-hop community continues to mourn Foolio's loss, some of the untenable reactions to his death have brought more focus to the issues of gang violence and the grim reflection of the brutal reality of gang life. However, one wouldn't get a full picture of Foolio's journey without looking at his traumatic and violent background. For more content like this, click on the videos showing on your screen now.